television all year, but first, we would like to invite you to join us on Wednesday, January 30th between 11 and 2 p.m. at Farm Cafe for a very special Good Old Days at Boone Drive downtown. Some of the old staff who ran downtown will be cooking up something special for our anniversary. Please come out for this special day to support Farm Cafe and celebrate
You're live, buddy.
turning 100 years old.
WFOC Severe Weather Center 9, High Country Weather.
See better.
After the weather, your open will run, and we'll be on.
All
right.
It will lead to a brief mix for a while today of some sleet and snow, some brief rain, but no big accumulations expected at all. Highest ridge stops, you may get a little bit of a coating, though. Back in a little bit 30s today and tonight. We'll dry out tomorrow in the mid-40s, but then rain is here for Saturday, raining most of the day, changes to snow Saturday night. From Severe Weather Center 9, I'm meteorologist Keith Monday for High Country Radio.
I'm really struggling, and I'm just looking for help.
I've had advice given to me, but it was confusing and didn't really work.
Recovery Talk helped me help a friend.
I like it. You can call in and talk about your problems. They offer solutions. That's what I was looking for. Recovery Talk helps.
Here we go.
Have a problem? Know someone who does? Call us. 828-262-1567. This is Recovery.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Recovery Talk. Got a quick county announcement here because we came in a little bit late on the show, but in Avery County, Newland Elementary, because of the weather, will be dismissing at 11:30 today, and all other Avery County schools will be dismissing at noon. So make a note of it if you got a kiddo in school, 11:30 for Newland Elementary, 12 for all other Avery County schools. But welcome to Recovery Talk, the show that's brought to you on Thursdays by Freedom Auto Tech. We just heard a commercial for them too. It's a new one. We finally were able to get rid of the AC specials that aren't necessary during the winter. But Freedom Auto Tech is a local auto shop. We've been busy. I can't believe we were actually able to steal one of their employees today and bring him in here for the show, but we have done that. But the shop exists in order to do two things. First, provide a very good service to people. Anybody that has a car, your car breaks down, needs regular maintenance, brakes, things like that, fluids checked. You're going to go on a trip. You want to go and get things checked out so you don't get in trouble. But so we give you a good professional job. If you actually have parts bought and repaired there, they come with a warranty, two-year or 24,000 miles. That's parts and labor. So like if you break down with those parts in Arizona and you bought them here, you're going to get the car fixed if it's that part covered by the warranty. Anyway, so they provide a good service to you if you have vehicle issues, but also you can know that all the proceeds, the profits and proceeds, go to support Men in Recovery, the long-term program of Freedom Farm Ministries, which I work for, and this company goes to support. So if you have a problem with your car, give them a call, 828-355-4434. That's 828-355-4434. They're ready to get you on the schedule and get you fixed up. Okay, so this morning, reluctantly, I have Mr. David Strange in here. Reluctantly, not because he didn't want to come in, but because he's sick. Poor guy. I had to stop and coerce him to come here by buying him some Ricola. He chose Ricola for his throat lozenges. But David, welcome to the show. Say good morning to everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Okay. And David has been with Freedom Farm Ministries
since August 6th.
August 6th. And you are currently, how old are you again?
26.
26 years old. So we have a fairly young fella in here this morning. And he's been a delight to get to know. And I'm going to be blessed to hear a little bit more of the detail of his story today because he's come in here to share it with us. But David, where would you say, well, let's start growing up. Share with us, the audience, people listening and watching. My friend in Georgia, Paul, has said good morning and what's up. So tell us, David, where'd you come from? What was life growing up like? Let's just start there.
All right. Well, I'm from Wilson, North Carolina, and lived there for 16 years. But growing up, as far as my family, we were pretty tight. Nothing out of the ordinary until 2000. My parents got a divorce, and that kind of put everything out of whack. And but I think that was the starting point of where things got shaky for me. But as far as my childhood, going to church every Sunday, very active in church. The church I grew up in was actually only had 30 members in it when I first started, so we were active in it growing. Was on the worship team. Yeah, pretty much it as far as growing up.
You were on the worship team.
Yeah.
You know, common story, and I know that a lot of parents, there might be people listening and watching right now that my parents have often felt a sense of guilt because of their failed. My parents got a divorce too. I was actually talking to my mom about this a couple days ago. I think I was either 14 or 15 when my parents split up. I always thought I was 14, but she said you might have been 15. Anyway, a lot of guilt comes with that, and you know, I try to tell my parents, you know, I mean, I'm sure that was maybe one factor, you know, but you know, there's tons of kids that have parents that split up, you know, and they don't, you know, go off into you know, the world of serious substance abuse.
Right.
So that can't be the only thing, you know what I mean? And I know that you're not one to blame your parents for all of your woes and everything like that. So I just felt like necessary because there's a lot of parents out there that live with this guilt, you know. And you know what? Divorce is a terrible thing, and it affects the statistics say about half of marriages. So you know, you got a 50-50 shot that it's going to work out today in this country, and that's a sad statistic. It's very sad, but it is not the sole cause of a lot of problems. I know it contributes to a lot of things, but you know, anyway, when people that I work with, myself included, when you're dealing with learning how to live a sober life, a lot of it comes with learning how to respond as an individual to, you know, turmoil in life, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, how do I respond to my parents getting divorced? And really, your response is your responsibility, right? And you responded poorly to that, among other things, and that's not their fault that you did that. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, Todd wanted to tell you that he's sharing your dilemma in that he is right now currently has a Ricola in his mouth too. Todd, the genius that helps run the show through Facebook, he does a good job for us working at Freedom Farm, but he's been sick for a couple of days too. I better not get sick, David. All right.
Well, no, it's going around.
Okay. Good morning, Justin. So, parents divorced, but you were active in church. Tell us from there what happened next.
I guess I can start near the high school days. That's when everything kind of started kicking off as far as me going off on my own and doing my own thing. So when I got out of high school, I had no direction. Didn't know what I was going to do. Had no clue. So I just kind of went on the fly and got a really good job out of Raleigh, North Carolina, doing boiler work. And that was pretty tough, but it was a good job. I stayed there for 3 years, and during those 3 years, I had moved to Raleigh, and eventually met my wife and got married.
You were how old when you met your wife and got married?
I was 22.
22?
21, yeah. Now, mind you, this marriage that happened was not well thought out. We moved way too quickly, so it was a disaster at first, or the whole time almost. But so during that time is when my addiction kind of kicked in. Which just a side note, my mom was a real bad alcoholic, especially after the divorce, and I hated alcohol. I hated people that drank alcohol. I hated it, so I didn't drink for a long time, and you know, ended up picking up a drink one night, and then it took off from there. Ended up being, you know, kind of was my getaway from dealing with my problems, because I didn't want to face the emotional hurt and everything that was going on as far as marriage that I had gotten into, and things just got, it was pretty bad.
So interestingly, it sounds like your story, there isn't a lot of, in high school, messing around with.
Nope.
No. Were you basically a straight kid in high school, didn't mess around with substances?
I mean, I was a goofball, but
You-
yeah, I
you
didn't mess
kinda
around
still
with
are a
anything.
goofball.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still a goofball, but
Right.
I didn't mess around with anything.
You did find a passion, though, and I think we'll get into that a little bit later in the show, but you found out that you really had a passion for, I guess what you would call it, like audiovisual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
You, in high school, won an award, or a couple contests, right?
Yep, sure did.
Why don't you tell us what happened in high school?
It was Kangaroo gas station had these Roo Cups that they sold during the summer, and you get the Roo Cup for like $7, and then for the whole entire summer or through whenever it ended, it was 25-cent refills for the whole summer. So we had heard about they had a video competition to advertise these Roo Cups, and we're basically asking high school or schools to get involved in it, and my high school got involved, and I heard about it, and they came to me because I had been doing that kind of stuff for a while. I ended up making this video, won the competition, and had these guys parachute into the football stadium with one of those Roo Cups clipped to his chest. He parachuted in, landed, and gave it to the senior class president of the school, and then everybody got a free Roo Cup. So it was pretty cool.
That is cool. How old were you when you won that contest?
I think I was 19,
19 years old?
18, 19, something like that.
Okay, so didn't mess around in high school, got into a good trade. You're a Boilermaker. They call you a Boilermaker, right?
Yep.
Were you in a union?
No.
It doesn't. I mean, I was in a union piping trade myself. I don't know
Yeah.
if you knew that, but
Yep.
Boilermakers were part of the piping trade. But anyway, I used to have to go to apprenticeship school and all that kind of stuff. It was a good gig, but learning a good trade. And you got married too early, fast, and during a fast marriage, a trade school or trade career. You discovered, even though something you hated because you saw the effects of it, you picked it up yourself, and it started to take over.
Yep.
So, how long did that take? What did that look like?
At first, it was a drink during the evening times, after work. And then, just fast forward to make it kind of short, graduated to every day, all day, kind of sustaining a buzz. So I was I guess what you call a functional alcoholic.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take to where you were basically every day sustaining a buzz from the first time you picked up?
Probably a good 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Okay. I often tell people that alcohol a lot of times becomes like the very slow, painful one, but substance to get hooked on. But it looks like it progressed pretty quick in your life.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got 10 seconds before break. We will come back with David's story. Stay with us.
If you love the shooting sports, head over to Barnett's Guns in Hampton, Tennessee. Get the Taurus.
You want me to announce this again?
Let's do it at the top of the 11 o'clock hour.
Okay.
Is that clock right now? Hey, it is right. All right, good.
Oh, yeah. I forgot it was messed up last time.
It is way off.
Background checks. With every firearm purchase, you get a free day in their new 12-lane indoor shooting range now open. It's just $12 per person with no time limit as long as you don't leave the shooting range. Insurance regulations
I used to
now
love
require
this
that
song.
shooting range
Really?
ammo and products
You know this one?
at the store. Pistols, pistol caliber rifles, and shotguns are allowed at the range. And you can even rent a gun
shots for $10 plus the cost of ammo. With the new range now open, it can again do.
I still haven't called your dad. I need to call your dad.
Yeah, you do.
Wednesday,
Easy.
Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Just reminded me. I have your paper. It's over there right by my keys at home.
Barnett's Guns in Hampton, Tennessee. A family-owned and operated gun shop.
Braxton's
Online
dad's
at
a pastor down in Wilkesboro,
Cool.
and he's into like helping out with counseling and stuff like that. So.
Good deal.
I'm not. Again, I need to ask him. I'm not in. I'm going to text him and I'll let you know. But I think he's just the chairman of the board
Okay.
for Sure Court, and he does a lot of counseling with them too. So, and of course, with being a pastor, you're counseling all the time. So, yeah, he's been doing it for a long time.
Braxton's also the character of the bad cowboy. You know what we call
Yeah,
him?
evil Dallas Cowboy.
Evil Dallas Cowboy. So.
In Bible school since I was 14 or 15. My dad and one of his best friends have always been doing this like Indiana Stones character and his sidekick Babu and like little funny skits that kind of relate to the Bible. And they've been doing that since like 2002. And then I've always kind of been involved somehow with some sort of funny skit.
Yeah.
But then they made me a permanent character as the bad guy. And they made me the evil Dallas Cowboy.
Evil Dallas Cowboy. That's funny.
Veterinary associates can help prevent any discomfort when it comes to your pet's teeth.
Where was that at?
Cleaning and polishing,
What were we talking about?
extraction, and minor
Where we
oral
at?
surgery.
Yeah.
You've progressed now to drinking every day. Took about 2 years.
Yeah.
Still married, still working, functioning.
That's
Yep.
ANRVA.com.
I guess I need to add the part where
guiding principle
During that time it got worse and
Army
worse.
National Guard
as far as
soldiers to be
me being able to
always
handle
ready
life.
whenever disaster strikes. Every Army National Guard member serves not only
Okay.
to protect
After
the nation,
this,
but also their local community.
I'll
So
play
they have a stake in
some
the
Royal
security
Taylor,
and
and then
well-being
we
of
back
the
in.
neighborhoods where
Okay.
they live and work. They are your next door neighbors and your colleagues in schools, offices, and factories. Since the early days of our republic, the Army National Guard has continued its timeless commitment to guarantee peace and security for all Americans. A proud legacy which has endured for nearly 4 centuries. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. Selfless service is what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area. Sponsored by the North Carolina Army National Guard. Aired by the North Carolina
You looking
Association
forward to
of
the show?
Broadcasters and this station.
Type in Recovery Talk at the top. Welcome back to Recovery Talk. Recovery Talk is a show for hope and help for the hurting. And today we have a guest with us, Mr. David Strange. But before we get back to David's story, I just want to shout out to our show sponsor, which is Freedom Auto Tech. Freedom Auto Tech is a local auto shop here in town, mechanic shop, that is ready to give you good service for your vehicle if it's in need of repair. But we want the public to know that as you're getting your car repaired, you're also helping out a not-for-profit ministry, Freedom Farm, which provides a 1-year substance abuse recovery program for men. We are a Christ-centered, long-term program, and we usually house about 30 guys at a time, and it takes a lot of resources to pull that off. So we need revenue streams like this shop. So next time you have a check engine light, little knock under the hood, hopefully that knocks not anything bad, bring it into Freedom Auto Tech and they'll get you fixed up. Their number is 828-355-4434. That's 828-355-4434. So David, we were talked a little bit during the break, but your life progressed early. I mean, you're in your early 20s, and you're already drinking every single day. You're married. You have this trade going on. Life and dealing with life has gotten progressively much worse in these 2 years.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, once my marriage got to the point where it was almost unbearable, we decided to split up, and I moved up to Virginia and got another pretty good job up there, and actually quit drinking for a small period of time.
Okay.
And then eventually, my wife and I decided to get back together. So I went back to North Carolina and got her, brought her up to Virginia, and then the cycle started all over again.
Okay.
Drinking picked back up. But fast forward a little bit further. Basically, as far as my family, I became very distant with my family. They tried to help, but I just kind of pushed them away. Started pushing everybody away, friends, family. And then after I was up in Virginia, I moved back down here, and that's when everything pretty much fell apart. I lost just about everything.
Let me ask you. So you grew up in church with a church-going family. Helped actually a small church try to grow. You were in a worship band. So how much was that gnawing on you? How much were you going, if at all? How much was that kind of? Were you going through conviction about that?
Oh, yeah.
So tell me. I'm a little interested in that because I share a little bit of that in my own story.
Oh yeah. I mean, it ate at me every day. Because growing up with that background and then completely leaving it, of course.
So you completely left it. Didn't even go.
Didn't even go. I wasn't even going to church. Wasn't reading the Word. Wasn't praying at all, unless I was in desperate need of something.
Okay.
Where like when I lost everything and I was living in my car, that's when I was like, "Please, guys." But other than that, I lost that relationship.
And I'm not real tight with your folks or anything, but I've had really nice conversations with your father. At least one real nice conversation with your father. And he seems like such a super nice guy, man.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah, I mean, like, he didn't seem like a typical, father that had a wayward son and tried to get you into, but I don't know. Like I said, I've only had one conversation with him.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be a real fan of you and you doing better in life. So, yeah. So he was pursuing you a little bit too, and just...
I was not hearing it.
No, okay.
Where was that?
You lost everything, basically.
Yep.
Back and forth from Virginia, back in North Carolina now, and
That's when I gave up and was like, you know what, I can't do this. So my dad took me in and was doing okay for a little bit, and then
when he took you in, what happened to the wife?
she went away.
Okay.
But then on and off, it was ridiculous. We were still on and off during this time, and then it went from I was sober for a little bit, then to secretly drinking.
Okay.
To trying to hide it, and that didn't last very long. So ended up doing some pretty stupid stuff, and Dad told me I gotta go. So I was kicked out, back in living in the car. Toughed it out for a good 6 or 7 months, and then
You lived in your car for 6 or 7 months.
in and out on couches. Just it was ridiculous. But
How old were you during this time?
23,
23.
22,
Okay.
something like that.
Okay.
I finally surrendered again because it got to the point where I couldn't bear it anymore. It was about to get really bad. Probably gonna end up in jail or dead, one of the two.
Were you committing crimes to be able to continue your lifestyle, or
No,
no?
not really.
Just afraid you're going to get pulled over, DUI or something?
DUI or kill myself or kill somebody driving and drinking. So Dad took me back in, and this time that I had to go to AA to be able to stay there, and had to check in, and so went to AA and made it through that phase 90 days, and then on the 90th day of my sobriety, I thought it was a good idea to celebrate and drink again.
Did you literally pick up your 90-day chip
I picked it up.
and then drank?
Actually, it was horrible. I picked it up the next weekend.
Oh, okay.
So I pretty much lied in front of one of the...
Did you do
at a
90
meeting.
meetings in 90 days?
No.
Okay. That's just I don't know, you probably heard that if you went to...
Yeah, I mean, you go to one
They
every day.
suggest you do 90 meetings in 90 days. It's one meeting a day, or,
Yeah.
within 90 days you do 90 meetings, so...
But yeah, I picked up my 90-day chip the next weekend after I had relapsed, so that was horrible.
It's interesting though, because it kind of tells you the mindset, you know, kind of the desire to try to maintain some facade that you know that you'll do something that ridiculous. You know, it's like let me go and pick up this chip. Like no one's going to say anything to you if you don't pick up the chip, and it's really not going to do anything for you to pick up the chip, right? Even if it was true for 90 days, because like the whole philosophy is you just have today, right? I mean, it's nice to mark, you know, consistent sobriety, absolutely, but like really there's no reason but besides this image of yourself that you want to try to maintain, so you go and do something like that. So so you picked it up a week after you relapsed. And what happened next?
That's when it got to the point where I ran out of options. I mean, I could go live in my car again. Well, no, at that point I didn't have a car. They were letting me use a vehicle. So at that point, I really didn't have any other options or anywhere to go. And the job I was working, because of the lack of transportation, it was tough getting to work. They were about to lay me off.
What were you doing at this point?
I was doing electrical work.
Okay.
Yep.
Boilermaker to electrician.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commercial. Electrical.
Okay.
And at that point, my dad and stepmom sat me down and said, "You need help. You need to go to rehab or something because you know you're gonna really mess up." So
how old were you when this was going on?
This was last year.
Last year.
Yep.
Okay.
Summer, I think. Just a few months before I came here, actually. Ended up going to the Salvation Army in Charlotte.
Is that the ARC program? ARC program?
Yes, ARC, Adult Rehabilitation Center. Lasted there for about 50 days, and then come to find out after your 30-day probation there, you can go out and do just about anything. Just sign out and leave, and
You gotta come back.
but, I mean, they breathalyzed you as soon as you came back in the door. So I did the last 45 days and then decided to go to a bar. Had a drink, thought I was good, you know, gave it a good 4 hours to come back, came back in, failed the breathalyzer test. And then they didn't let me back in, so I was kicked out. So,
this was in Charlotte?
Yep.
Okay. So, on the streets of Charlotte, kicked out of the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center after 50 days or so?
50 days, yeah.
So you're back to zero again.
Yep.
Anyway, we're coming up on a break, so I don't want to get back into the next part of the story. But if you guys hang with us, we will continue on with David's story when we come back from this break. All right? See ya. Stay with us. Okay.
High Country's information station, AM 1450 and 96.5 FM.
All right.
Sidewalk Prophets. Are you getting work done over there, buddy?
Yes.
Okay, good.
The High Country's information station, AM 1450 and 96.5
Every once in a while it does that.
Mitzi had a couple of online polls.
Didn't sound good, but it happens.
In favor of Mr. Trump. It's a dirty trick.
It played the same thing twice for whatever reason.
Online polls, such as those on the websites of the Drudge Report and CNBC, are
Okay,
particularly
we got a little bit of a
susceptible.
break here.
Michael Cohen admits he hired an IT firm to rig those two polls in favor of Donald Trump. In a tweet repeating what he has told a federal judge, Cohen says he regrets the blind loyalty he gave to a man who doesn't deserve it. Cohen is scheduled to testify before the House Oversight Committee 3 weeks from today. North Carolina Senate President Pro Tem Phil Berger is criticizing the decision by outgoing UNC Chapel Hill counselor Carol Folt to remove the pedestal on which the Confederate monument Silent Sam once stood on the UNC campus. ABC 11's Barbara Gibbs read from Berger's statement that Sam's
They're awesome in concert.
Good.
The MPD chief, Kerr Putney, confirmed an armed robbery suspect was shot and killed by a Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer yesterday. Ron Strait, witness
Are you
the shooting,
paused?
tells WBTV News.
Is it paused?
The
much, put your hands from behind your back. And the guy wouldn't, and when he come out with some object. I don't know what it was. Had on him a couple of times.
North Carolina's mountains are expecting some snow today, and some schools are going to close in the northern mountains.
I did not think it was
Meanwhile,
supposed to snow.
CBS News.
It didn't say it on my. Well, I didn't look at Ray's, but I looked at my weather app. It didn't say anything about snow.
Feels like temperatures of negative 16.
Vance County Schools.
Apparently that's why they closed out there.
That starting January
What's it saying
21st,
now?
the menu will be reduced in the cafeteria.
We have a winter weather advisory
The government
in
shutdown.
Watauga County.
You're listening to NCN News.
But I also live in Deep Cap, so.
Hi, I'm Brett Michaels for the American Diabetes Association.
Brett Michaels.
Diabetes is a constant battle.
What was he,
Testing,
poison?
treating, fighting to live a normal life.
Don't know the name.
I've had diabetes since I was
He's one of the old 90s hair bands, 80s, 90s.
more American.
I think Brett
Oh,
Michaels
really?
did Poison, the band Poison.
Yeah.
Called a silent epidemic, and without your help, it
Come on, you guys are too young.
I know, man.
How old are you, Braxton?
22.
22. Jeez.
and your stories.
Can I like tag myself in this so I post on my thing?
Well, you can share it.
Oh, I can share it.
Better manage this disease or reduce your odds of
It
developing
says
and give what you can to help
temperatures are
us.
cold enough for
Programs like the
precipitation to
diabetes
begin this afternoon as light snow or a wintry mix.
Mm.
It will change to a light rain later this afternoon to evening. Some light accumulation is possible in northwest Ashe County.
We can stop diabetes.
Trooper Daniel Harrell has been released from a hospital in
Interesting.
Greenville. Harrell was shot in the face Monday evening and rushed for medical treatment to Vidant Medical Center. Sunny Blaylock in Arlington, Virginia, and her husband are both federal workers who are not receiving their paychecks during the partial government shutdown. Blaylock says she has tried to reassure her children, but they are still worried, and their 9-year-old son, Tiger, who wants to be a professional illustrator,
You sure?
decided to sell his artwork to help pay the bills, earning $200 for just one drawing.
Been a really demoralizing
All right, so right after they
time
say,
for our family.
"This is NCN
No matter what
News."
I say to
Okay.
them, and we're gonna
You want me to
be
make this
okay.
announcement
We
again?
have a
Yeah.
small cushion. We've got family that we can fall back on. They still have to express that.
Hardin County authorities released a 911 call made last Friday night when 2 women and a 6-month-old baby were shot to death in their home.
Is this baby okay?
The baby is fine, and she's talking, and they said there's a little baby here too, and I'm looking. There's a baby carried here with blood all in it. There is all over the car seat.
A report in the Lancet Medical Journal
Also,
recommends rethinking
I
what
think
we
the
eat
static
and how we
on the
produce our
earbuds
food. That they find
is
will
because of this
improve
adapter.
overall health and improve the planet
I'm going to check and
beyond.
make sure.
A group of food, environment, and agriculture experts recommends a plant-based diet. To start with, report author Sonia Vermeulen says
Half of your plates should be vegetables.
Yeah.
specifically
On the
Yeah,
vegetable side, eat a lot more
It seems to
beans
not
and
sound
nuts.
quite as good over these
a burger
this
a week,
adapter.
no more.
Meat is a treat, or
For whatever
fish is a
reason.
treat.
Ideally, eggs should be limited to 4 a week and just 1 serving of dairy every day. The experts are calling for
Well,
great food transformation.
Is that a mono or
by
stereo
2050.
output?
Gary Nunn, CBS News. Mike Rayleigh, NCN News.
I'm not sure. Because we're running stereo. So that could be the thing. Could be a mono there. All right, ready?
Mhm.
Here we go.
Hey, welcome back to Recovery Talk, Hope and Help for the Hurting. Listen up for all you Avery County residents that are listening to the show. If you have kiddos in school, Newland Elementary is going to be releasing at 11:30 today, and all other Avery County schools will be releasing at 12. So make sure you get over there to get your kids. It looks like we have some of this crazy high country weather coming in through today, because we were just having a discussion during the commercial break that none of us even realized there was supposed to be any snow or anything today, but looks like they're canceling schools. Don't you miss those days when you got snow days? Yeah. Anyway, I wish I had snow days.
Okay.
So, real quick, the show here that you're listening and watching on Facebook is brought to you by Freedom Auto Tech. Freedom Auto Tech is a auto shop here in town that is ready to give you professional service on fixing your car, but understand that as you're getting professional service on your car. You're also going to help. You're also helping a ministry, recovery ministry for men, Freedom Farm Ministries, because all the profits and proceeds from that shop go to Freedom Farm Ministries. So you're basically getting you're getting a good service and supporting good cause both at the same time. And you'll have people like Mr. Strange here working on a car, but we'll get to that here in a second, how all that got developed. But anyway, before we went to break, you had been kicked out of the Salvation Army program down in Charlotte, and yeah, that's where you're at. You're on the street again, buddy.
On the street again.
And you're how old? 25?
20, yeah.
25 years old. How many people are at that program at a time?
I think it holds up to 110, something like that.
110 people. Wow, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened next, my friend?
All right, so I'm on the streets of Charlotte. Spent the night on a pile of clothes outside of a donation bin.
Wow.
Yeah, that was sobering. Ended up getting in contact with my dad the next day. And, of course, he came and got me. Went home for a week and was doing a whole bunch of research to find somewhere else to go, because apparently that didn't quite do it for me. That's when I found Freedom Farm Ministries.
When you were at the Salvation Army program, what kind of things were you doing there to help you out with your issues?
They did like a kind of chapel thing on Wednesdays. They had these mandatory little classes they had set up during the week that you had to go to within your first 30 days. Then after your 30 days, you had to go to at least, I think it was 3 AA meetings or NA meetings, or whatever meeting applies to you, and something like that. And had to go to church on Sundays. That was mandatory. Other than that, they weren't very actively, I mean, they were if you went to them and wanted some one-on-one help, but other than that, you were just required to do a set of certain things so you could stay there.
And you obviously weren't in a mindset where you're really wanting to engage very much anyway.
Right. Well, you did. It was a, what do they call it? A work. What is it called? Basically, you have to work there to stay there.
Okay.
You have to work for the Salvation Army. At first, I was in the thrift store working at the Salvation Army, and then I ended up on one of the box trucks with a really good guy who worked for the Salvation Army, going to pick up donations for the Salvation Army, and that's what I did pretty much the whole time.
All right.
Working 40 hours a week.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Dad picks you up, and you find Freedom Farm on the internet, and then basically...
I give you a call.
Did I answer the phone?
Yep.
Oh, was I?
That was when I think Todd was out of town or something like that.
Todd.
But yeah, that's when I spoke with you and told you my situation, and you basically said, "Come on." So, here I am.
I mean, it's not that simple.
No,
that might be, but you do. I mean, for anybody listening and wants to, it's not just you call Jim and he says come. You actually have to fill an application out and be interviewed and all that kind of stuff. So,
yep.
Right. So you show up to Freedom Farm, and this is interesting. And I'm not asking you to say anything that's illegitimate. But what were your first impressions to come in here? I mean, you had an experience of being at a 110-person facility, and you've been through AA and NA meetings before. So, what was it like showing up at Freedom Farm?
It was actually very refreshing. I think that'd be a good word to use. The first ride out to the safe house, just the scenery. I love the mountains, so that got me right off the bat. And then
for those listening and watching, a lot of people don't know. Freedom Farm is one-year program. It's 3 phases. Phase 1 and 2 are out in Creston, it's Ashe County, and yeah, it's beautiful, but it also is it's pretty remote. So they're going out there. And, that first stage, they're not walking off.
Yeah. But it was perfect. I mean, it was a perfect fit for me. Out there in the middle of nowhere. Just basically getting closer to God, and James was a big help out there. He was meeting him was one of the first people I met. He had left a very good impression.
James being the manager for us for basically Ashe County, so
Yep.
came to us via one of the largest active homeless shelters in the United States, called the Pacific Garden Mission in Chicago. They house 1,400 people every night.
Wow.
He went there 3 times. Spent over a year there. The last time he was there. So anyway, so you get to the safe house. Were you feeling? Well, you didn't stay out there very long drinking, so you probably weren't feeling effects much of your
Right.
last
There's really
episode.
no detox.
No. So how are you feeling about your relationship with God, your relationship with life, your relationship with your parents? You know, what was all going through your mind then?
Well, basically everything I grew up knowing as far as Christianity was not necessarily wrong, but I was nowhere near. I was only on the surface, basically, as far as Christianity and believing in Jesus and that he died and for our sins and rose. Everything that I learned in the safe house was all new to me.
Really?
Yeah, almost. It was pretty crazy, but and it was an eye-opener. And then when I got into the second phase of the program, which is restoration, that's where it really hit me. And I had one of those aha moments, I guess. I mean, it was a small aha moment, but it completely opened my mind to Christianity and Christ and God in a whole completely different way that I had not seen the entire time I was growing up in church.
Very interesting. And just to kind of take a side here, you know, I've been at Freedom Farm for 8 years, and I don't think I've ever been on and told my full story on this show, but my background is I grew up in church and whatnot, and strayed for quite a long time, and I got into substance abuse. But when I was 24, through a series of events, I found myself in recovery, and I was in what we call secular recovery, which is 12-step meetings and things like that. And I had a sponsor and was doing steps and all that kind of thing. And then I also found myself back into church, and within about a year of sobriety and church and all that, I felt like I want to be into ministry. So I went to Bible college, did very well, graduated, 4-year degree in Bible, and was going to go into ministry. And I relapsed really hard for 5 years. I was actually living in another country when all this kind of went down. I was in Costa Rica. Lived down there for 3 years, came back to Florida where I'm from. But all that to say that here's a guy that, like you, had been around Christianity for a very long time, right? I had a degree that said I knew more than the average bear when it comes to Christianity. And when I came to Freedom Farm myself, this little, humble program here up in the high country, through some materials and through some of the teaching that I was going through, I realized I had a giant missing piece when it came to my understanding of Christianity. And that's what's kind of helped me stay here and do this, because there's just tons of people that come in here and they know 8 out of 10 things about Christianity, right? But it's those 2 things that they don't have as far as the foundational, fundamental things about it that are missing. And, what we can do is present those things to people like you that grew up. And it's not like you even maybe didn't hear those things, but it just,
Right.
Who knows what it was that it just did not click. Mm-hmm. And when that does finally, life changes. So we're not coming up with anything new here, as far as we don't have a new philosophy or a new type of a message for anybody. It's just sitting down and individually going through with the guys and trying to determine, hey, is there a missing piece? Does this person understand 1 through 5 and maybe 7 and 8, but there's a couple pieces missing here, and let's present that to you. But and ultimately, as another side note, I can't open your eyes and get you to understand the truth. I can just present it to you. That's a supernatural thing. But anyway, so that's what happened to you. You came here, and even though you knew about Christianity and you knew about Christian words like the gospel and Jesus and things like that, there were some things you did not know.
Yep.
That you were basically could see yourself that you're on the surface, but you're missing. Is that 10 seconds we got? Okay, got 10 seconds. I started to talk a little bit, but anyway, stay with us. We'll be back just a minute. We done with this?
Yeah.
Did you know this fantastic thrift store on the Waterfide Bypass in Boone,
Just said it.
operated by Freedom Farm Ministries, and all proceeds go directly back into the ministry to help fund men's housing, food, and quality of life while they recover from horrible addiction and find freedom in Jesus Christ.
So this is the last little section. We got about 12 minutes.
Donations are welcome during business hours, and they'll pick up anything of good quality from your home or business. Store hours are Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5. Call 386-6200 or learn more at
It's delayed.
freedomfarmministries.org.
Everyone in my family uses
We have to have it delayed so that in case Braxton has a custom fit,
we all think about it the same way. The co-op is
he lets his mouth get away with him, get away from her sometimes.
but power is the
You know me.
information I get.
Thursdays are my rough days.
Technology. I trust the co-op because we are the co-op.
They're our neighbors.
Our friends, our home. Go to BlueRidgeEnergy.com/powerful solutions to learn more. Remember when you were young and got your first sound system? If you were lucky enough to live in the golden age of hi-fi stereo systems of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, you'll remember how warm, deep,
No.
and clear your audio system sounded.
No, but all 3 people in here are Christians, and I pay for the airtime, so you give me whatever you want.
Yeah.
If you own vintage audio or are looking to
There is a
own,
Christian
stop by
station that's
Freedom Electric
part of this
showroom
group,
next to
though.
Papa John's
Yeah,
in Brewer.
they're in Newland.
Call at 828-386-6555 or go to freedomelectech.com.
Okay, right after this.
Oh, my name's Dave Wood with Freedom Electech. I've been advertising with High Country Radio for 2 years. A lot of people stopping by the showroom saying they heard us on the radio. It's been an overwhelming response, really, more than I thought we would get. We do a lot of things, and we were trying to get the word out about all the different things we do, and people have been coming in and mentioning it directly.
Here we go.
Welcome back to Recovery Talk, Hope and Help for the Hurting. That was our little fade-in intro from Big Daddy Weave, which I saw down. What is the baseball team down in Hickory?
Crawdads.
I saw it at Crawdads
Yeah.
game a couple of years ago. They came and they wheeled in everything in the middle of center field. We had Freedom Farm guys there, and we had a good time. And he sang that very song.
That's where I saw Sidewalk Prophets a couple years ago.
All right,
Awesome.
yeah. Crawdads game is a fun time if you're in the area. And well, are they playing baseball right now?
No.
No, there's no baseball going on right now. So, but when they do, go down there. It's a good family night. Good time. Crawdads game. Anyway, before we get back to David here, just last final shout out to our show sponsor, who is Freedom Auto Tech. If you are listening on the radio here in High Country, you heard a commercial for our other revenue stream, which is our thrift store. So yeah, if you have good resellable items, go ahead and give them a call, 386-6200. That's 828-386-6200. And that helps Freedom Farm, Fund Freedom Farm too, that thrift store, as we are able to resell donated items, good used resellable items, and that brings in some revenue. But Freedom Auto Tech is the official sponsor of this show, and that's our latest business venture. We've been open, about 6 months now. And, things are starting to really turn around over there, and we're starting to get a little bit of a reputation and some repeat customers, and things are working well. So if you have a problem with your vehicle, you can give us a call at 828-355-4434. And you know what? I promised him, and I just remembered to just now. Adam Woodard, our professional mechanic, he went to Toyota school, actually. He went to like Toyota College somewhere, and he's from South Florida, actually, from the same county I'm from. But Adam's there. He's our lead mechanic, and David, you are basically his assistant. And you know, in the last 10 minutes or so, we'll talk a little bit about that too. But yeah, Adam is there, and he is ready to diagnose your issues and get you fixed right up. And we really appreciate Adam. You know, Adam, just a little side note on him, when he was interviewed to come to work, we're going to have him on the show because he was excited about being a part of Freedom Auto Tech because he has been directly affected in his own family through substance abuse. Not him, but his brother. His brother has struggled with it for many years, and he's actually hoping that his brother is spending some time incarcerated and hoping that his brother will make it to Freedom Farm when he gets out from Florida. We're going to get him up here. That's what the plan is at this point. So we're hoping that happens. But Adam is a trained, certified mechanic, and he's ready to fix you up. Sometimes it's important to say that because people want to have the idea that like Freedom Auto Tech is a whole bunch of guys from our first phase of the program, coming off substances and fixing your car. That would be dangerous. Yeah. And no, that's not what it is. It's an actual professional shop. But we do have people like David who have done well. And you know what we do at Freedom Farm is that when guys get into our third phase of the program, they are required to find a job. And so we have gentlemen we have a couple things that we do. Obviously, the thrift store. We sell firewood. We have the auto shop. These are all business ventures to help fund Freedom Farm. And we give guys very humble paying jobs there. So David has come alongside, and he has been working at the shop with Adam. But anyway, I want to get back to you came here, a guy that thought he knew, found out he didn't know. When you found out what you didn't know, and you started to believe these things, life changed.
Yep.
So maybe get the people that have been listening to the story so far a little up to date on some of these things, these factors. Wife, parents, your lack of confidence in dealing with life. Where are you with some of those things, these major factors that were kind of keeping you down?
Well, I'll start with the marriage. Unfortunately, we're no longer together. It has to be a divorce there. Now, as far as my family, my dad and I are probably closer to each other than we've ever been in my entire life, even growing up.
Wow.
We really didn't, our relationship was weird.
Maybe that's why I had such a good conversation about you with your father.
Yeah,
because he really seemed like, big fan of you right now. So.
Yeah. So that's awesome. As far as just where I'm at in life right now, I think the biggest thing that happened to me with all this clicking in my mind is my perception on life has completely shifted to where it was at. Basically, the way I viewed success, the way I viewed how you're supposed to live, all the things that make us think how we're supposed to live our lives and do our lives, all that has kind of shifted. Because it used to be something completely different for a very long time.
Mm.
And it's still shifting, I'm still learning a lot, and I'll be learning for the rest of my life. But definitely a huge change in my perception on life.
And you know what? That's the key, man. And we got a couple minutes here left, but addiction is not hard to understand. Okay, everybody struggles with with life to some degree, right? And the struggle is usually based in, you know, how am I defining things like what you were saying, success and meaning and purpose and, you know, failure and, you know, all those things, right? And the problem is that a lot of times people are finding their definitions for those things and believing those standards and definitions that are basically not reality. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you can just imagine right now the world of Instagram, Facebook, and all that kind of stuff. Imagine if there isn't a person alive that would say to their children growing up, you know what? If you want to learn about life, go and study Instagram. And that'll tell you what marriage is supposed to look like and relationships are supposed to look like and morality is supposed to look like. Why don't you go on Facebook to find all those things, right? Yeah. No parent would do that because we all know that it's not reality, right? Right. I mean, there's people's real lives and then there's their filtered lives through these social media things. No one would encourage their children to watch Netflix to learn about life, right? Well, maybe some of those documentaries, educational shows. I do like some of those shows, yeah. But you get what I'm saying, right? Mm-hmm. And the thing is that we do that. And, you know, in recovery in general, I mean, it's a problem. I mean, there's the leading cause of death if you're 50 years old and under is substance abuse, you know. I mean, there's 200 people a day dying from substance abuse. I mean, that's nuts. But anyway, you know, even on a secular level, that's the same exact problem. And the secular people are trying to help people how define life and deal with life by addressing the standards that they're using, by addressing these belief systems they're using. And, you know, that's the one thing that we can boast about as far as being a Christ-centered place. We believe that God has given us those answers. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And when we take our life and we weigh it up against to what God says, we're able to make corrections. That one book that we read, we're able to identify error in our life and correct it with truth. I just read a book that basically said the same thing about narratives. You know, we all believe in bad narratives and false narratives in life, and we get those cleared up by truth. So another big factor in recovery is time, and you're in the middle of your time, my friend, and you're taking it nice and easy and slow. So, brother, we really appreciate you coming here and sharing it. And you know, during that time, also, he's working real hard over at that shop, and he's helping bring a lot of business there. But if you are on our website and seen the new video, the little video, that was made by our friend David here. We didn't really get into that, but he is passionate about audio visual stuff. And actually, if you're a fan of Freedom Farm, following us on Facebook, you'll probably see some videos here coming up soon where David's going to be making some promotional videos for us. And I think we're going to have a benefit for each other. We're going to try to help him get a camera. But anyway, thanks for coming on the show today, my friend. Braxton, thanks for running the board today for us. And we'll see you next Thursday, folks.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm.